Hello. How is everybody doing? How's things? How's life? How's the universe? How has your week been? What's everybody been up to? How's things? Hello Ish. The feeling when you can't remember if the stream is on or not for medical reasons, but you see it queued up and sigh out loud in relief. Thanks, I think. I think that means that you're either glad that I don't have another medical problem, or you're glad that the stream is on. Either way, I think thanks. Um, or you're just glad that your memory is correct. I don't know. Um, Hello Ish. How you doing? How's things? How was your week? My week has got better and better and better. Now it's peak week now. Only Friday can top it. And the weekend. Awesome. And hello Simon. How you doing? How's things? And hello Simon. How you doing? How's things? UK Simon. Welcome. I'm simultaneously glad you're fine, as well as having a bad memory. Well, fair enough. Unfortunately, I'm not fine. I mean, well, am I? But it's bad. Um, is it tomorrow that you're gonna see that update video? Hold on. No, Monday. Oh shit! I need to. Yeah, I need to remind myself to upload tomorrow's video because I'm gonna be away. Upload now. At 9 o'clock. Yeah. There we go. How are you this week besides bad? I like the flavor. Yeah, I mean, so I finished the Zigbee Doorbell project video Monday. I reviewed, God, my memory's bad, a projector Tuesday, Wednesday, and today I've been writing what's probably going to end up being a 3 or 4,000 word video essay about Intel and AMD. So yeah. I think the fun thing about writing those sorts of videos and then doing all the research that comes with it is that you fill in lots of like kind of blind spots you had in your understanding of stuff, like understanding of the history of the two chip makers, the the works. So yeah, it's good fun, and it's something that I'm interested in. So that helps. What do you reckon about the new framework PC with soldered CPU and RAM? Very modular. Is that the little mini PC? I literally, just as I went to start streaming, I saw a thumbnail of someone oh, it was Tested. Tested have a video about the framework desktop mini PC. I've been otherwise occupied and have not been able to watch. But yeah. But especially the RAM, that's the thing that gets me. Do you know what CPU it is? Because they're clearly using mobile chips, right? I have to assume. Because you can't solder a desktop chip to a board. So it has to be a mobile chip. And if they're using Intel's Yeah, Lunar Lake chips, I think it is, for mobile. Yeah. Uh, then the chips themselves have the RAM on board. Oh, well then screw framework. uh, yeah, unless the Ryzen chips require LP DDR5, DDR5X, whatever. Um, yeah. Um, no, thank you. I mean, the whole thing about framework is their modularity, and their like repairability and whatnot. And I'm sure that there is some level of repairability on that in that system, but it's probably they send you a new motherboard. It's an AMD spec framework wanted. I assume you're gonna finish that sentence by saying SODIMS or even LPCAM 2. I mean that's a good point. There's a good chance they could have used LPCAM 2, but yeah. Ba, 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 ba. Yeah, so the fact that it's a mobile chip is basically the problem. Um, yeah. Uh, it seems AMD engineering tried to simulate the same bandwidth using SODIMS and LPCAM 2, but it didn't meet the requirements. I mean, that's kind of interesting because it's like the whole part about LPCAM 2 is that it is soldered, but it's still modular. That I have to figure out 4 slots. I mean, not necessarily. LP Cam 2 is dual stick, dual channel, whatever. Um, yeah. Their onboard GPU is apparently very impressive, on par with the 4060, 4070. Well, that's cool. That's very cool. Especially because those are the chips that will go into laptops and handhelds. And if the onboard GPU can do that, damn, I'd hate to see what the AMD can do with a bit more TDP and a bit more cores and a bit more space. And a D GPU. LP Cam 2 didn't work with their integrated memory controller. Well, that's probably it then. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, the problem with playing in the big boy space that is computing is that you have to bend to the will of the people who make the stuff that you put in. Like, Framework is what, a chassis designer. If it, if you want to really strip it back, they design the chassis and they buy the parts. They're probably uh perhaps motherboard designers for the laptops and stuff, and they're for this board, but they're not AMD, right? They're not even Crucial and or well Micron, um, so they're still somewhat at the whims of people like Intel and AMD, Nvidia, um, and the memory standards that they offer, and the requirements that they offer. It's kind of funny when designing PCBs. One of the things that you have to take into account is the like what the chips require. So this is one of my experimental test PCBs, but it's a good example. So this mess here is a collection of chips, but if you take, what's the minimum focus distance of the camera? It's about there. This LDO, this lower linear dropout voltage regulator, it requires, come on, focus. It requires those two capacitors to smooth out its power input and output. That's a requirement from the datasheet. You basically must include those capacitors, otherwise the thing won't work very well. And the same goes for all of these other capacitors that are just strung around here. This is a negative voltage generator, and again, it needed a bunch of capacitors. That's an op amp, which again, feedback capacitor, etc. So there's lots of requirements kind of like that, but on a whole nother level for people like Intel and AMD, if you want to make motherboards and like use their chips and stuff, it's kind of crazy. It could be really cool console replacement and killer for similar money, and for AI models with the shared memory. Well, the shared memory is definitely an interesting point. One of the main sort of interesting reasons why you might want to buy one of the Mac Minis, M4 Mac Minis, is that they have all that shared memory. So if you pick a high enough spec, you can run the, was it 6 or 700 billion parameter DeepSeek R1 model on a thing, you know? That's a good point. I didn't I mean, it's not as unreasonable as you'd think. I mean, it's obviously no £600, you know, but it's also uh the you get a usable amount of storage. I assume anyway. It doesn't say storage. That's kind of weird. Oh, you got to choose an option on top, right? But it's normal prices. Like 8 terabytes of storage here is the same price as what 4 terabytes of storage, or even 2 terabytes of storage on a Mac. So yeah, it'd be cool. It's a lot of money for, you know, not you don't need it, but it's cool. It'd make a great HTPC for sure. Um, yeah. Oh yeah. I won't fault builders for marking out components that much if the part can be upgraded. Yeah, that's true. The downside to, in fact, as I mentioned in the Nitro 14 video that I think's gone out. Yeah, my my schedule's been a bit mad because of the whole being off ill and recovering from eye surgery stuff. But yeah, as I mentioned in the Nitro 14 video, the only problem with only having a single SSD slot in a pre-built system is that upgrading that single SSD is a bit of a pain in the ass. Like if you built your system yourself, you're probably competent enough to either reinstall Windows to upgrade your SSD size, or even just there's likely more than one SSD slot in there, and you can just put another one in and use that for, you know, Steam storage or whatever. Um, as I think a lot of us do, or you know, stick a SATA SSD in instead, whatever, you know. But for something like that Nitro 14, or presumably, because I have seen nothing about it, the framework desktop, if there is only one slot, just makes it a bit more annoying to have to try and um, upgrade it later. I would get the Mac, easier to resell and holds its price due to the brand. I mean, fair enough. Um, I don't tend to think about the resale value of the parts, and especially like tech that I buy, because tech devalues itself pretty quickly. So yeah, fair enough. I have some more news about my health. Hold on, I have some images. You'll actually see this on Monday properly, but seeing as you lovely weirdos are here first, I mean, I had to order a new passport today, so I'm just deleting the hundreds of pictures of me looking like I want to die. Because I don't need them anymore. I submitted it. So I had MRI of my spine. That is my spine. Now, if you see each of these little discs here, specifically the white that's in the middle of the disc, so that's the fluid in or the gel that sort of acts as a shock absorber for your spine. Now, if you look at my L5S1, do you notice anything? Yeah, there's no white in there. There's a cross section. That big black hole, yeah, that's my disc. There's no white in there. I have a collapsed disc at the base of my spine, and I have arthritis of the spine. Lumbar spondylosis. No wonder I'm in pain. Is that bingo now then? Well played. Yeah, so we've got the eyes, we've got the lungs, we've got the spine, like lower back, we've got the guts. I've had heart problems. I have three mental health sort of disorders officially. And yeah, every joint in my body also has uh potentially arthritis, maybe. Um, maybe. So yeah. um, can they inject some like you're a human Oreo? No. Basically, is your answer. In theory, you can. There is spinal surgeries you can, but have done, but they do not help. Uh, Simon, I've suffered them back for about being about 10 years old. It's not nice to deal with. Same. Yeah, same. Three X-rays and doctor told me three different things. I mean, an MRI gives you a very clear picture of exactly what's going on inside the body and inside something like the spine. So, I mean, if you can, an MRI might be helpful if you can find someone. Um, tell me, were you in an accident or something? Ah, I wish I was. That would make so much more sense. No, I was I didn't have the best childhood. I was undiagnosed ADHD and autism. And I basically have all of the the autoimmune disorders. So ulcerative colitis is an autoimmune disorder where your immune system attacks your large intestine, um, and if left untreated, you just kind of die. Um, Arthritis is an autoimmune condition where, if you guessed it, your immune system attacks your joints. In this case, my lower back. Um, the MAPDOT dystrophy, or a recurring corneal erosions syndrome, um, may or may not be autoimmune, but it's probably more the something wrong with my eyes, essentially drying out. Um, but once it happens, once it kind of keeps coming back. Anyway, point is, it's horrible and it sucks. And the joint pain is also likely somewhat autoimmune. There's quite a strong correlation between neurodivergence, especially ADHD, which I I watched a single YouTube short, and now my whole worldview's changed. Is more dysregulation than disorder. So attention dysregulation, like reward dysregulation, and in my case, immune system dysregulation causes a lot of problems. And then when you throw in being in fight or flight for your entire childhood and teenage years, um, doesn't help. Doesn't help. Um, so yeah, I'm just speed running my way to the grave and having a horrible time in the process. um, a lot of people say, like, when I tell them about what's wrong with me, I'm very much an open book, if you can't tell. Uh, I a lot of people say, oh, I hope you get better, and I I kind of I have a morbid chuckle about it because all of the conditions that I have are not curable. Some of them are treatable. Like, so my eye literally falling apart is treatable by scraping the front of my eye off. That's what I had done 2 weeks ago. This eye. I can actually see a lot better now. Like, I can almost read the chat with this. Actually, both my eyes are kind of shit. I need new glasses. When you get glasses, your eyes slowly slip until they reach a stable point. But I've kind of deliberately not, like, I get used to the glasses and then your eyes slip, but I've deliberately not gone to the opticians regularly. One, for the expense of buying new glasses, but two, for like to keep my like normal eyesight okay. Like, I can just about still read the you know the the chat without glasses, etc. So yeah, I had a contact lens in for to protect my eye when they did the surgery, and getting it out was a horrible experience. I don't really want contact lenses. I'm sure you get used to it and whatnot, but James, you would not believe how many comments, emails, messages, whatever I get from people suggesting literally everything under the sun as a cure or a um, a somewhat magic fix for some or all of my problems. I appreciate them wanting to help, but at the same time, no. Uh, mm, mm, oh, it's hard to sell framework stuff, especially since their stuff looks like someone modded a laptop and 3D printed a case compared to a Mac metallic finish. Well, yes and no. I think they appeal to slightly different people, don't they? Because the sort of person who buys a Mac does not care that it's not repairable. The sort of person who buys a Mac is the sort of person who just wants an appliance to use And the fact that it looks and feels really nice and has a really nice finish makes them feel good about spending a ridiculous amount of money and using it on a regular basis, which is fine. That's what your priorities are. You want an appliance, you want a dishwasher to just work. You don't care about the whatever. But the sort of person who buys a framework laptop cares about the repairability, cares about the fact that you can take it apart with relatively few tools. And it's two different users, it's two different sets of priorities. I wish that the Mac was more serviceable and more repairable, for sure. But also, yeah, it's different priorities and different for different people. um, hello, Jim. How you doing? Um, and no worries. I hope you enjoy it. Also, ouch on the back there, Simon. Christ. I mean, my back currently hurts, and it's only one herniated disc apparently, or collapsed disc, whatever. Lacking in fluid disc. Although it is the most important one, right at the bottom. Takes all the load. um, my mum was in a car accident. Since then, there's a spinal cord pinch and a whole lot of pain. Well, I'm very sorry uh, to hear that for her. I I know how much back pain sucks. Uh, so I can only imagine what an even worse version of what I have would feel like, and it's not good. So yeah, sorry, man. Um, According to Simon, the 9070 looks good. Let's just say that for now. Wonderful. Well, I'm glad to hear some good news. I'm excited about the price tag, or the price to performance. I think is the main thing. Like I saw an article today that says it might be $700, and if it gives you, what would cost 800 or 900 from Nvidia. Um, so yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Also, I don't know if you've seen the Nvidia situation, but according to Nvidia at least, 0.5% of the three GPUs they've made this year, uh, all have missing ROPs. Rasterize. I can't remember what ROP stands for. It's been like 7 years since I did GPU. I can't spell. Did I say I'm dyslexic? Um, Raster operations pipeline. That's it. Um, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so all of the Nvidia cards are missing 4 or 8 ROPs, I think. But yeah, everything, the 5070 Ti, the 5080, the 5090, they all have missing ROPs. So the way that like the die binning works with someone like Nvidia is that they'll take the whole die that they manufacture, but because there is often errors in the chips, one of the ways that they maximize the number of chips that they can eke out of a wafer, like usable chips that they can eke out of a wafer, is that if one of the, let's say, a couple of the stream processors, wait, that's AMD terminology, a couple of the CUDA cores in one of the compute unit clusters is faulty, they will just laser off that compute unit and sell it as a lower tier card, or laser off enough of the compute units to make it a lower tier card. But basically, it seems like they accidentally lasered off some of the ROPs from various unit, various. I can't remember what the the NVIDIA terminology is, because the last like GPU diagram I saw was for AMD. So I'm thinking compute units and stream processors. Um, but anyway, yeah, they cut off cut off some of their ops, and yeah, problem. NVIDIA forgot to test under different conditions. Yeah. The amount of issues reported is probably every GPU sold. I mean, I think it's probably lower than that. They said that it was a first batch issue, and I'm inclined to believe them there. Um, with how quickly they responded, though, and how quickly that they gave us that 0.5% number. I'm suspicious that they knew about that before launch, and that they were just hoping that people would not care. Um, so yeah, yeah. I think Team Green is busy selling the failed bins from the Enterprise Silicon as customer cards. Blackwell has been in Enterprise cards for 6 to 7 months now. I mean, the fact that the 5090 isn't even the full die. Uh, but also the fact that like they've sold like there just seems to be like no stock of them. Like what? um, Problem at Radeon is the silicon allocation, since Epic and Ryzen is the moneymaker. I mean, yeah. Um, so you're saying you would care about some of your GPU being missing? But Nvidia are angels. No, they're not. And yes, I would. Look at the bright side. You have something to struggle on through for. Me turning into Steam once a year. Praying for an XT2, and praying for the XT to be priced at £500. Um, well, I think that the article that I saw suggested that I think the 9070 XT was going to be $699. That was the suggestion. And it was phrased as could be, as in that's the optimistic price. So £500, I think that's the standard 9070, not the XT. But we'll see, I guess, tomorrow. I don't know. I don't have one. Of course I don't. um, well, I mean, if you're getting what Nvidia would charge, £900 for £700, that's still a great deal, even if it's not in your budget. And therefore, if the 9070 gives you, at say £500, gives you what Nvidia would charge 700 for, again, great deal. I don't even play games anymore. My 4060 Ti will be good for a while. Well, actually, that's funny. I bought an RTX 3090 used from CEX. I what you call it? It was getting ridiculously hot, so I repasted it, and then the paste flooded out, so I repasted it again with better paste. Then it got really hot and started crashing again, so I repasted it again, and seemed to be okay, but it kept crashing, and I was like, look, I need reliability in this system. Like, this is what I edit the videos on. This is what makes me money. and pays the mortgage. This needs to work. So I bought a 4060 Ti, mostly because it is the cheapest graphics card with the most memory from Nvidia, and it had to be from Nvidia only because Adobe are dreadful. But they were the only decent option 10 years ago when I started using Premiere Pro to edit. So, yeah. I'd love to swap to Resolve. Um, how? Hmm, um, to edit. In fact, I have a studio key. But uh, it's a very different style of editing to Premiere and After Effects because Resolve is both Premiere and After Effects in one program. Which is great, but it's also kind of complicated. It's something that you have to get your head around. And then the other problem with that is that, well, if I were to move off of Premiere and After Effects, the whole point of moving off of Adobe would be to move off of Adobe entirely. So then I need to find a replacement for Adobe Media Encoder that does watch folders, because that is the most useful feature on the planet, and I can't find anything else that does that well. And then the other problem is that you then also have to move off of Photoshop, which GIMP is meant to be great. I think Blender might even be able to do some of that. I mean, I know Blender can do video editing as well, but anyway. But again, that's another program to learn. So we're now talking about not just learning Resolve, but you're also talking about learning at least enough of Photoshop to recreate what I do for like thumbnails and stuff. I also use Illustrator occasionally, like to design stuff. Like, I mean, I saw the question about the what tech is this? This is a Momo steering wheel. It's from my other channel, At the Wheel, that I haven't posted a video on in like 2 years because I'm really, really ill and barely surviving and don't have any time. So yeah, it's a Momo steering wheel. But I traced that out in Illustrator. So that's a vector file, so I can blow it up to any size I want, any resolution output I want for anything I need. And so yeah, like that's another thing to find a replacement for and learn. I even occasionally use Lightroom, like Lightroom Classic as it's now called, to edit some photos, like really pretty occasionally. But it's nice to have, and I know a little bit about how to use it, and so again, it's just that difficulty of moving away from all of that, the stuff that I've been using for the last decade and a bit. Like I've been making videos on this fucking channel for 13 years as of tomorrow, or as of the 3rd of March. I made the channel on the 28th of February, and I posted the first video on the 3rd of March. Like, it's been 13 years. Now, admittedly, for the first year or two, I was using Cyberlink Power Director, because that's what I had already, or something. I don't remember. It was dreadful. But that's what I used. But then, for the last at least a decade, I've been using Premiere and After Effects and Media Encoder and Photoshop and Illustrator and Lightroom. Like, it's just... I would love to move off of Adobe. It's so shit. But then, especially when it's a work proposition and you don't, like... James, I am 28. I started out when I was 15. Built my first custom gaming PC basically for my 15th birthday in January, so it was really Christmas and birthday. That's what all the gifts always say. Totally not salty about that. And yeah. It's okay, Andy, you're not that old. We can age beyond age and falling apart. Yes, but not old. Well, yeah, 28. Which is probably past midlife for me. It's morbid, but it's true. If I make it to 50, I'll be bloody surprised. I swapped out my 6600 XT for 4060 Ti because I was getting game stutters, to then figure out it was an Intel Wi-Fi issue, disabled Wi-Fi, and the stutters stopped. Amazing. Yeah, past your midlife. Time to buy a motorcycle. Oh wait, yeah, I already did. um, and yeah, I, I mean, I probably will buy another motorcycle or two. Um, I'd like a T7, a Tenere A700 from Yamaha. Um, it's a adventure bike, but it's quite capable off-road and dirty stuff, but also is quite capable on-road. Like it's kind of like a GS, like BMW GS, but it's a lot smaller. It's a is it a V-twin or an inline twin? I can never remember. I think it's an inline twin. No, it's an inline twin, and it's a 270-degree crankshaft, which is almost the perfect. It should be 285 or something, wasn't it? Watch the Fortnite video. Fortnite is great. Fortnine. Yeah. So I'd like that, but I'd also like an electric dirt bike. But then I also need somewhere to use it. That's the problem. Anyway. Mine's gone blank. Oh yeah, and Simon, on the troubleshooting front, I've had similar issues. I don't include this in the video, but so I returned the 3090, saying basically it's shutting off, and what's funny is that I then put a 3070 that I had around in just as a temporary, and it was an Asus 3070, like Strix one, that has individual LEDs for each of the power connectors. So basically, when you plug a power connector in, the LED turns off. And I realized that when you wiggle it, the light flickers. And I realized that it was just a bad ground pin on one of the 8 pins. Now, the 3090 is still probably not ideal. I think there was a hotspot on it that was like going to fail eventually, and so again I just have to deal with those issues later. It also consumed a ridiculous amount of power. Like, it consumed over 125 watts at idle, like just sitting on the desktop doing nothing. Whereas the 4060 Ti that I have in now, its maximum power is like 150 watts. So good. But yeah. And yeah, I felt really stupid when I figured it out too. I felt more stupid because I had already returned it and bought the 4060 Ti before noticing. I don't know that I would have. I might have made a similar decision anyway, but if I'd known that at the time. But yeah, I don't know. The X were nice about it. I just said, look, the displays turn off, but I can still hear sound coming through my system, like videos playing and stuff. I don't know why it's happening. It's really hard to troubleshoot because it's not really easily repeatable. But yeah, and they're like, well, fair enough. We'll have a test of it to see if there is anything we can find that's wrong. But you're not getting on with it, so we'll give you a refund anyway. They ended up listing it for sale the next day at 20 quid less than I paid for it. So there you go. Yeah. And yeah, Ish, the YouTube chat is bunching up on the stream. I don't know why, but it is. I'm sorry. I can't control this very well. Like there's not many controls I can toggle for this chat box. in Streamlabs OBS. Have you played any recent game releases like Yakuza or KCD2? No, I have not. Really, but in fact, actually, the only games that I've been playing have been on my Steam Deck, and they're mostly Xbox emulated games, 360 games, because the Xenia emulator got updated with Vulkan, and now it works on Linux. So I've been playing all of my Xbox 360 games, like Skate 3, and they run pretty damn well. Like, I'd love to be able to play Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, but it just does not work with Xenia, even on my PC. I haven't played it, Xenia and Vulkan on my PC for a while, but yeah, it didn't run well on my PC 6 months ago or whenever when I last tried. So I'm not really surprised that it doesn't run well on the Steam Deck, but Skate 3 runs beautifully. So Bluetooth is still on. It seems because I was using Wi-Fi, but Ethernet was on and looking for routers. I mean, fair enough. Bit weird, but fair enough. Maybe there were some CPU interrupts that were getting in the way. I don't know. And taketh the piss. Nice. Yeah. But yeah, no, I have not been playing any new games, that's for sure. I do have my last infusion tomorrow, so I will be taking the Steam Deck along with my laptop to do some maybe programming, maybe actually probably finishing that script, at least for some of it. So yeah, that. I gotta sit in a chair for like 5 hours. Yes, the biological warfare stuff, yeah. The biologics, the infliximab. Before I can inject myself at home. Hello, Luca. Hey, Damon. Nice thing. Hello. Beth. Why did I forget that? I saw B, and that's all I could think of. At least that's what Ish calls you, so I assume he's right. And thank you very much. As long as I get the nice nurse to to put the cannula in, that'll be all right. The last one was like, I was like, I'd prefer it here. Like, please, they did that last time. Yeah. And he was like, no, I'm gonna do it in your hand. I was like, okay. And then he like, it's in. Okay. And then when I saw the nurse that did it the first time, I was like, you do my cannula next time. And she's like, oh yeah, sure. Is that one all right? And I was like, yeah, he didn't really. I asked if he could have it in here, and he was like, no, I'm doing it in your hand. He's like, you didn't give you a choice. I'm like, okay, I'll come get me. I'll do it for you next time. So I need to find her on my way in. Yeah. In the hand for hours. Yeah, I got there at 11 and I left at 5:30. So yeah, it was in my hand for 6 hours, I think, 5 or 6 hours. Yes. But um was in my hand. 6 hours. Um, yeah, because the pipe came out that way, so then it was like, well, I was trying to type. Yeah. Uh, my son was a baby. He had to have one in his head because he was bending them in his hands and arms. Oh God. I mean, I've had, funnily enough, I've been hospitalized a few times. I had a cannula in once when I had another stomach ulcer and severe stomach pain, and they gave me IV paracetamol. Um, and uh, it, they put the cannula in really badly, like they just kind of jammed it in, and it was basically just poking out into my arm. And so when they gave me the IV of paracetamol, my whole arm swelled up to like 3 times its size, and I felt ridiculously sick. And then the following day, or the following like couple weeks, actually, my entire arm, like my entire inner arm, was like bruised, like from wrist to like at very least to elbow. It was like brown, purple, the works. Well, you have a heck of a weird photo gallery. Well, one, autism. Two, lot of illnesses. Um, I think that I don't know. A couple pictures up, there is an LED light, like the internals of an LED light, um, and like circuit boards. Um, a lot of stuff that you can buy in Lidl, because they opened a Lidl next to me, and yeah, yeah. There's the 3090 I bought and then returned. See, stuff from Lidl, a little wilder. So yeah, autism plus ill. Partner was telling me that she read up that if your favorite color is green, you're likely autistic. Funny how that's my favorite. Well, I don't know if that's science, but if you're here, the center has arrived to leech all your money. Parkside will be the death of my bank account. uh, Hospitals are life saving, but also not great. Yeah. We're all on the spectrum this blessed day. Next, should be buying Parkside from them. Well, Parkside is Lidl's tool brand, so yeah. uh, um, favorite color is green, and you're neurotypical. What? I mean, fair enough, but also, I don't. I personally, I'm not entirely sure that what color is your favorite. Is a great diagnostic test. Um, if you get along with a lot of neurodivergent people, that is. um. Oh dear. I mean, my favorite color is black and white because I like the contrast and the simplicity. Um. I guess I can't be in the cool crowd. Blue is my favorite color. I mean, blue was mine until I was, I don't know, like 12, and I kind of I got the black and white. Um, I'm plenty crazy with it, the extra crazy to worry about. Fair enough. Aren't we all? No problems with that in the US now. I have deliberately, like, well, I stopped going on Reddit. Is the main thing. So I am not familiar with the state of uh, across the pond. So I don't know what you're referring to. Somewhat blissfully. Loved Red as a kid, but can't stand it now. Don't really have a favorite, but most of my house is grey and white. I think you see in monotone, sir. Scary news. Best to stay clear of it. Well, yes, that's kind of the thing. For my own mental health sake, while I can only feel sorry for the people who are inevitably going to be affected, uh, I choose to distance myself, such that I don't go insane. So yeah. 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 Can't say I've heard you use your spoons, but fair enough. I get the point. Um, I Speaking of feeling like an idiot, um, I tidied up. Um, what you call it? To review the projector, I used the wall that's there, to do the whole projecting onto it. Because it's the only like relatively clean, relatively flat, relatively white wall that in the house basically that's like clear, and a decent size. So I put the projector on a tripod like here, but the stuff that's on the floor by my desk is for all the tools mostly. But it got to be quite the mess, so I tidied it up and see you, James. Catch you there. Just got tidy it up so I could put the projector and camera down and stuff. And in tidying, I found that I had like 20 other latency tools that just didn't have elastic tied to them. I ordered 50 more latency tools in cases because I thought I'd run out. So now I have like 80 latency tools to sell, and I don't sell that many of them, so I'm gonna have a lot of stock for a while. So yeah, fun times. So Simon. Yes, business. It's more stonks. So yeah, I need to. You probably. Oh no, you can see through the bag. You can see all the orange. All of these. I already had all of these, just sitting in a bag waiting to have the elastic. Um, so I bought more elastic so that I didn't run out. I have to cut these into like meter strips. It's really annoying. And then use a lighter to burn the edges so they don't fray. Ah. Um, Assumed as your neurodivergent to come across the spoons analogy. I mean, I might have done, but it doesn't immediately ring a bell. Um, I ordered two 40-meter Cat6 Ethernet rails for my LED video wall, to then find two I'd already bought in my unit. Nice. Yeah. Uh, Same kind of fuck up, yeah. Um, yeah. I really enjoyed GamersNext's video this morning, basically pleading with AMD to not fuck up the launch. I mean, yeah. I hope they don't either. But we'll have to wait and see. Hello, Catalin. Catalin. Still don't get it right. How you doing? How's things? I am not great. I found out I have a collapsed disc in my spine and arthritis in my spine. And I'm going in for my last infusion tomorrow, so that's going to be very boring. Yeah, yeah, yeah. How are you? Those things. Quick, you've only got a minute. um, well, I will wait for a response, but while I wait for said response, I hope you all have a wonderful week. I should be back next week. And yeah, I'll see you ish. See you, Luca. I'll catch you guys hopefully next week. Assuming more of me hasn't perished. Yeah. Happy actually. Wife just bought a brand new Kia Sportage 2025. On the firm. Brilliant car. Nice. Well, I hope you enjoy it. I'm gonna disappear. But yeah, I will catch you all next week. And yeah, enjoy.